Hi guys, today we're going to work on how to choose the best type of graph. And this aligns with IXL assignment RMW. The four types of graphs that you'll be seeing today are bar graphs, double bar graphs, line graphs, and circle graphs. Let's go ahead and begin with our bar graphs here. Our bar graphs are best used when we are comparing two or more values. So in this example, we have two different values, the number of bottles that Sean is collecting and then the number of bottles that Beth is collecting. So those two separate values are best shown with the bar graph. We then use a double bar graph when we're comparing two different sets of data. So here we have data collected for both roses and for daisies. So those are our two separate types of data that we're comparing. When we use a line graph, that is best when our data is showing a value, in this case it's temperature, that is changing over the course of time, so we can easily track that change. And last but not least, a circle graph is best whenever we have a proportional relationship, because if it's proportional, then we can easily represent our data as a fraction, a percent, or parts of a whole that is split into the categories as you can see here. All right, let's go over to IXL so we can actually see some scenarios and practice figuring out which graph would be the best one to show and represent our data. All right, here we are on IXL. Make sure that you are going to assignment RMW. Choose the best type of graph. And remember that IXL has some great resources for you too. So you can click on this right here, learn with example, and it breaks down for you each type of graph and when it's best to use which one and why. Our first question here says, which type of graph would you use to show the number of cars sold in 4 different colors? All right, when I look at this information, it looks like it just has us comparing data. We're comparing the cars sold to their colors. Therefore, it would be best to use a bar graph because we're just comparing two different things, the cars sold versus the different colors. Which is the best type of graph to show the number of students who can swim and the number of students who cannot swim in each grade? In this case, we have two different data sets. We have the number of students who can and the number of students who cannot swim. So we have two different things that we're pulling from, meaning a double bar graph is going to be our best option. Which type of graph would best show the average rainfall in a city every year for 10 years? Ooh, this is the first one we've seen that's talking about time, because we just have a city, which means one specific city, and we're tracking its rainfall every year over the course of 10 years. So the one that is best used when we're dealing with change over time is our line graph. What is the best type of graph to show the percentage of students who bring their lunch from home or buy their lunch from school? I see the keyword right here of percentage. Remember, when we work with circle graphs, that's when we use a proportional relationship. And one of the ways we can show the data is by using percents. So that right there tells me a circle graph is going to be our best bet. Let's do a couple more. We've seen one example of each, but this, has been pretty quick. So let's just do 2 or 3 more examples to make sure we have everything covered. Which type of graph would best show the proportion of girls with their hair loose, in braids, in pigtails, or in a ponytail today? There's a couple key things that clue me into this one. First word is proportion, because as we just talked about, when we're dealing with circle graphs, if we think about those notes we looked at the beginning, that is working with proportional relationships. Another thing is I'm seeing all of these different categories, all of the different sections of our circle graph being listed out: hair loose, braids, pigtails, ponytail. All of those are proportional, and they'd all come together for us to have a circle graph. All right, now we're at a slightly higher SMART score. So let's try one of these. Which type of graph would you use to show the number of fish in each tank? Well, I'm just seeing one set of data here. We want the number of fish that's going to be in each tank, and that tells me it's going to be a bar graph because we're pretty plain and simple with our data here. Which type of graph would you use to show the population of New York City over the past 70 years? Our key word here is years. We're talking about something changing over time. And another thing that helps me know it's a line graph is we're just dealing with one item. So in this case, we're just dealing with the people who live in New York City, and we want to track how that one data point changes over the past 70 years. All right, this will be our last example here. Which is the best type of graph to show the percentage of students who voted and did not vote in the school council election? This one, I see that I'm dealing with two different items, people who voted and didn't vote, which, initially makes me think double bar graph. But my mind is changed once I see the word percentage, because if we're dealing with the percentage of students, whenever we show our data as a percentage, that's going to be us using a circle graph. And it is possible for you to have a circle graph with only two different sections. And so therefore, circle graph is really the best answer for that one. All right, it is now your turn to try this IXL assignment. I hope that you enjoy it. I think it's kind of fun. Just make sure you read carefully and don't go through too fast, because that's definitely when mistakes can happen. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to your teachers and we'll be happy to assist. Bye.